with us today, we have the most sought after spray tan artist in all of Los Angeles. She literally tans every single person you could possibly think of. Kim Kardashian, Miley Cyrus, Selena Gomez, so many people. On top of all that, you also run 2 businesses and you're a mom.
Yeah.
Isabel Alysa, welcome to Trying to Figure It Out.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here.
And every time I open up TikTok, a different celebrity or influencer that I follow is getting tanned by you or using one of your products.
Yeah.
It's literally amazing.
It's amazing. I'm so grateful to God. You know, sometimes with life, there's only a certain amount of things that can be planned. And like when I started this business, it was just supposed to be a side hustle. And that's what it started off as. And like, I never would believe that it would become what it is today and what it's becoming. Mm-hmm. And I thought I was going to be a psychologist or a nurse and went through the whole, 2 years of college trying to figure it out, literally. And then life just derails. So
I find it so incredible that Kylie Jenner was your first ever celebrity client.
Yeah.
And I just want you to walk me through how you landed that job.
Yeah, it's so wild. I started obviously spray tanning to make extra money. A few months in, I started noticing I was like really good at it. And like the compliments of just people were like, I had never had a tan like this. Yeah. And so, I think 2 years into my tanning career, I had tanned Kylie's makeup artist, Ariel. Mm-hmm. And I don't even know how he discovered me. I might have actually reached out to him on Instagram, offering him a free spray tan or just like, I just want to, get my name out there. Mm-hmm. And I believe Kylie saw my tan on him. And then Kylie's like, I want that tan. And, that was, 7 or 8 years ago that happened. And so in a beautiful scenario, that started really early on in my career. Like, it's just so wild that, it started with Kylie and then went to other people in the family and Kim and Chloe and and Chris, and a huge part of like my success very early on and the support that I got from them. And I realized that just really set me up for success because I think the beautiful thing about the Kardashian glam team is I feel like they're such a stamp of approval when it comes to other celebrities trusting as well. So I think for me, that just opened up so many beautiful doors and opportunities, and I'm just forever grateful for them. And it's been, 8 years maybe now that I've worked with them throughout different moments. There's times where I'm booked with them for, few months, few weeks, and then I go, so it's just really nice to kind of, go through that with them. And I'm super grateful for that early on start in my spray tanning career.
Totally. So it's your first time spray tanning Kylie 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Are you shitting your pants?
Oh my God. I was so nervous. First of all, you're like, how is this even like freaking happening? Yeah. Like, this is insane. Like, and this was when Kylie was in her lip kit era, she's like one of the biggest, or if not the biggest influencer that really just did makeup at a whole different way. And so I remember I was just like so nervous, and she was just, I went in and I was like, that's the one thing. It's like, I think the biggest mistake people make is they try to become friends and it's, for me, it's always about being professional. And so going in and making her love the tan, I want her to feel as comfortable as possible with me. I think as a spray tan artist, it's one of the most vulnerable things.
For sure.
As it's like, hi, nice to meet you, now get naked, right? It's like, it's not even like, hey, we get a few visits and then you get to take your clothes off.
It's like
first time, like you're getting a dress. And so I think for me, it's just like, going in, just being myself, letting people fall in love with me first and like making them feel comfortable, and then talking about the formulas. But I'll never forget like how nervous I was, like, is she gonna like it, if she didn't hate it? And after I tanned her, I don't think I had heard back from her maybe for like another 1.5 to 2 years after that. So I'm like, hey, maybe she liked it, or maybe it was one time I needed to fill in for someone who was tanning her at the time. But I was like, just to have that. And then it came back, and it, that's the thing, it comes in phases. Totally. And so then there was years where, I would travel, with her and go everywhere. And then as my business started to really take off, and now I'm required to be at the Ultas and the Nordstroms, and, I can't be as available. And so there's other people from my team that would go out and do that as well.
Totally. I always say, like, beauty providers always it's like 50% the service you're giving someone, and it's 50% the comfort that you're giving
and how
someone.
you're making them feel, you know?
Yeah.
And I'll talk about the first time I spray tanned Kim Kardashian. In that first spray tan, I was getting texts from her team, like how she felt a little red or it wasn't her preferred color. And how do I change? I was like, oh my God, I'm never going to get a call back again. Like my first shot, she's the biggest celebrity in the world. Like there's no way she's going to give me a call.
Right.
But Kim saw more to me than just being a spray tan artist. Like she was asking me about like my life and all that stuff. And when I was shocked when she called me back to tan her again for the second time. If they fall in love with you first as a person and you make them feel comfortable and you make them feel in their most vulnerable state naked, and you have this ability to make them feel warm and welcome, and you're just here to give them that service. Yeah. Like I was shocked when she called me back, and then to now be 10 years in, like, you know, just with her a few weeks ago. And I'm just like, she's like, how old is Mia? And I was like, Mia's literally 10. She's like, I met her when she was 2, you know? It's like, it's just crazy to me that it is truly more than just a spray tan.
100%.
It's the way you make people feel, and it comes down to you as a person. And I truly believe that success is more than just you being good at your job. It's an all around thing that has to align perfectly. Totally. I mean, I can tell you, like, I have had one time with Kim, I actually had when I was spraying her, an air bubble like popped in her face from the spray. Like it didn't pop in her face, but like the gun, I think it had a clog. And so it like sprayed out all at once. And it was like freckles all over her face. And I was like, Kim, I think we just had an air bubble and you're going to have to go rinse your tan because we have to start all over. Yeah. And like, we laughed about it. She hopped in the shower, rinsed, and I cleaned my gun out, and then it worked fine. And so I think it's like, you know, I think it's also how you handle these situations. Like if I would have been like freaking out and, oh my God, I don't know, like, she would have probably been like, oh, you know what, like maybe not. But like, I think it's also how you handle these situations with these people. And you have to also remember that they're human, just like us. We all make mistakes. Like we're not perfect. And it's just life. Like I've had spray tan solutions spill all over whitewood floors at clients' houses. And I'm like, oh my God, they're never going to book me again because they have to replace stuff. And then they book me again. We're able to fix it. So it's all about staying calm.
Also, not being nervous goes such a long way with those people. And you being able to walk in a room, make mistakes, probably makes them 10 times more comfortable because they're like, okay, even if there was a mistake, they're able to be them around me.
And they'll give you a second chance. And I think that's a beautiful thing.
Totally. So you start with Kylie, and then of course, I'm sure it was just like a domino effect of so many different people reaching out and wanting tans from you. Every single one of your clients have such busy schedules themselves, and all of them want tans from you. Yeah. How do you balance all these different people and their schedules plus your schedule and running a brand?
Yeah, I'm not going to, stay here or sit here and say like it's easy, because it's not. Like I'm human, and I have like great days and I have bad days. I've been tanning 10 years now. Yeah. And so for me, the first, I would say 6 years of that was straight being available for my clients. So whether I'm on vacation with my family and a client would call me and they're like, hey, can you be at my house at 9 p.m. tonight? And I have my team looking for flights. I would never tell the client, hey, I'm in Cabo with my family. I don't know if I can be there. I'm like, I'll be there. Right. I don't care what it took for me to get there, but I would get there. And that client would never knew that I was just on vacation with my family, because they don't want to hear my sob story. Like, oh, I left my family vacation. They just want to know that you're there, you're available. And I always knew that that would pay off. So in the beginning of my spray tanning career, there was so much sacrifice that was done, right? And I was always available and always there. I have a great support at home. Like I have a great husband that literally is there for anything I need. I have a great team, and they help me navigate through schedule changes. And I might be on a trip to Italy and I have a client that calls me and they're like, I need you to be in Paris in 2 days. So my team is on the back end working with their team to reschedule flights or whatever, and then move podcasts around or whatever it is, right? Just to make sure. But I think it's also like, the beautiful thing is I've learned to trust the people around me to help me. It's not just me. It's really my team that's helping me navigate through this. I'm not going to lie and say that I don't get tired. Like it's so exhausting. And I think for me, there's like, when people talk about work-life balance, again, I think that that's such a saying that like, I'm like, there's really no such thing as a work-life balance when you are CEO, founder, mom, wife, spray tan artist, spray tan classes. I can't give my all, and I know that to every little thing. And so now obviously with my daughter that's, you know, now entering into 5th grade, preteen, needs mom more. And before it's like, oh, I can go off and take these trips. And, you know, she's fine. And now like this entire year, she started cheerleading, and I was at every single competition, and I told my team, I cannot take any spray tans. Like, this is my time to my daughter. And so just putting my family first and really just leaning on my team for support has been like the most beautiful thing about this growth. So you can't be everything for everyone anymore, but it takes time to get there.
Totally.
You know?
Going along with that, let's say it's Met Gala week. How do you manage expectations from all these A-listers who are going to be on the carpet?
My clients have been, believe it or not, although working with like the biggest celebrities in the world, they're actually the most understanding. And so I would text, you know, let's just say Gwen Stefani and say, hey, I know we had a 5 o'clock appointment, but I'm actually going to be down the street 2 hours before. Are you available? If not, totally fine. I'll make it happen. 98% of the time they're going to say yes, and they've been so open to just schedule changes because I work with them, right? And whether it's their fitting went a little longer or they need a later spray tan, I always try to accommodate. And I think for me, it's all about balance. And I'd be lying to you if I said it wasn't crazy. It's crazy, but like I know, like the week before Met Gala, my schedule's wide open just for Met Gala spray tan. So
you like prep for that week.
Oh yeah. And we're just like, we don't plan anything else around that. And I know I'm like in New York, and then I'll leave someone here from my team. So if someone is flying out, let's say Sunday morning for the Met Gala, or Monday morning, they're taking an early flight, someone from my team will tan them here, and then I'll be available in New York City for anybody else who needs a tan.
Right. I don't know how you do it, but somehow you make it happen.
Yeah, we figure it out.
Truly. Okay. So do you feel like at that time when you were tanning people, the spray tan industry was different? Like, have celebrities always been getting spray tans?
So they have, but I think Dolce Glow really changed the way people thought about spray tans. Spray tanning has been around for, 40, 30 years. It's been a really long time. And so I think Dolce Glow was one of the trailblazing brands that really introduced luxury sunless tanning. When I started spray tanning and I introduced our first professional solution, which was probably 8 years ago, which is what people tan in, I was mocked, I was made fun of, I was laughed at, I was getting the most terrible messages by other spray tan artists that were in the industry that were making me feel like what I was doing was ridiculous and how I was charging so much for a luxury solution. But I was like, I knew I had something that was so different, not only from the formula, but from like me, and knowing that I was being trusted by so many celebrities that I had something different in me. These are other women tearing down other women. Like, and I did nothing other than I was tanning amazing people really early on in my career, and they loved it. There's amazing spray tan artists out there, but I think I was one of the few that really just brought that different vibe to spray tanning. And I think also then clients became comfortable sharing and tagging their spray tan artists and talking about spray tanning and talking about Dolce Glow. It was a domino effect, right? It had to take a few different things for this to all come together. So like, I'm so proud that I didn't give up 10 years ago, because again, I was made fun of, I was mocked, I was talked bad about, and still till this day, but I'm like, success is the biggest revenge.
Totally.
You know?
And also like, you don't need to prove that to anyone.
I don't.
You can just know it to
and
yourself.
in the beginning of my career, I felt like I did.
Yeah.
I felt like I needed to prove that I was good enough. Years ago, I would feel the need as soon as a Met Gala tan would come out. I'm like, I'm on it, I'm posting, I'm sharing. Now, like Met Gala, I don't even think I shared any of the tans, because it's so beautiful to come to a place of peace and content. Totally. And I feel like I've reached that as a leading spray tan artist.
Yeah, absolutely. So what makes your spray tans different?
For us, we wanted to bring back luxury, or bring luxury to spray tanning, because it
really
really didn't exist.
Wasn't much.
Exactly. There wasn't much in luxury. And so for me, I'm like, if I'm working with all these A-list celebs, I better have the best formulas. I better have the best everything in order for them to continue to trust me. I proved to them that I'm a professional, they like me, they feel comfortable with me. So that's done. But in order to keep them happy, I need to make sure I have the best of the best. I wanted something different.
Right.
I wanted these celebrities to be like, oh my gosh, your spray tanning formula doesn't stink, but it's fragrance free. And oh my gosh, I'm not sticky. I'm not runny. I don't have streaks all over my legs the next day. So for me, it was creating a product that cleaned up what people hated about spray tans before. And they did it because they wanted the color, but people hated the way it felt after, the way it smelled. And so for me, just listening, every time I'd walk into like a celebrity's home, they're like, wait, is your spray tan going to make me sticky? Does it stink? Does it, all the stuff I kept hearing, I was like, this is what I need to fix. And that's where I'm going to bring luxury to Sunless Tanning, to where they're going to have this spray tan and be like, I have never had a spray tan like this before. And you 100%. And I talk about that.
No, literally, it's speaking from my own experience. It's the most insane thing. It's just amazing the confidence that you get when you have a good spray tan.
And I think that's like, going back to what got me into spray tanning initially was my twin sister and I were put into foster care at the age of 7. Yeah. I come from 3 generations of addicts. And from both mental health and drug addiction. So it's a combination of bipolar and anxiety, depression, and then went into drugs, right? So my biological parents would leave for 3-4 days and would leave their 5-year-old girls alone by themselves with no food, no water. We were eating dog food to survive, like literally, because we were by ourselves. And so at the age of 7, I had almost died of a bleeding ulcer because I was down to like 30 pounds and I was so sick. And so that's what put us into foster care, was they opened up a case and then we go to our foster home. And we were in that house until the age of 17. And we actually, unfortunately, were abused in every shape and form type of abuse. And DCFS hit it and knew about it. So the first 17 years of my life were just nothing short of chaotic and traumatic. And when leaving my foster home at the age of 17, I left with the backpack. I started renting a room in a stranger's house for $300. I was underage. I was cleaning bathrooms. I was a janitor. I was working at Jack in the Box at the time. I had every job just to be able to afford my $300 room in a stranger's house. And my sister called me. This was like, I hadn't been 20 at this point. And she's like, come over and get a spray tan. And I was like, I only got $20 a week for my groceries. Like, how am I going to afford the spray tan? And she's like, well, bring me the $20. I'll cover the rest of your spray tan. So I'm like, well, I got some TV dinners in my fridge. And so I'll get through the week, And so I get the spray tan. And I'll never forget waking up that next morning. And it was the most life-changing feeling that I had in the first 17 years of my life. Like, immediately I felt better. Like, although I had been so depressed and tons of anxiety and issues of mental health and abuse, everything I had went through, this spray tan the next day, made me feel good. I was like, holy shit, this is insane. But it was on the inside that I felt better and took me out of this dark place. Even if it was just a week, I immediately felt better. And I remember telling my sister at the time, I was like, oh my gosh, if I could start spray tanning as a side business and work full-time during the day, spray tan at night. It's a really quick service that takes 15 minutes. I can make great money and make people feel just as good as I did in that moment. I'm winning. And so a few years later is when I pretty much started spray tanning, and the rest is history. But it was that moment of how good that spray tan made me feel that forever changed my life. And so again, me taking a chance on myself and using my last $2,000 to take a spray tan class that was not the greatest at that time. And I really had to self-teach myself a lot, forever changed my life. And so for me, when I talk about it's more than just a spray tan, for me, it was my life.
Totally.
And it changed my life, forever.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that. That is,
of course,
not an easy experience to go through.
No.
And being able to have a moment where after 17 years of not having any stability, you're not worried about looking in the mirror and, feeling good about yourself. You're trying to survive.
Literally, our first 17 years was trying to survive.
Literally.
There was days where my sister and I didn't even know if we were going to make it out alive from our foster home.
Yeah.
And if I wouldn't have gotten that first spray tan, where would I be today? Like, I asked myself, like,
Yeah.
and if I wouldn't have invested or took that chance on myself. But again, like, when you come from nothing, like, I just feel like you're more of a risk taker, because you're like, I've already been through the most shittiest parts of my life. I'm like, well, if this doesn't work out, to figure something else out. That's always been my mentality. Fear is only going to hold you back.
Yeah.
If it doesn't work out, you'll find something else, but you won't know unless you try it. And if I wouldn't have taken that chance on myself, like, there's no way I'd be sitting with you today, which is insane.
It's amazing. To be a foster parent, wouldn't you be a person that like genuinely wants to care for multiple children and welcome people into your home and give them the life that they aren't being given at home? Why is this so many people's story, in your opinion?
Unfortunately, I do think in a lot of scenarios, it's become a way to make extra income for people, because when I was in foster care, you get paid the foster parents get paid $700 a month per child.
Oh, wow.
I believe these social workers are also overworked. There's not enough of them.
Yeah.
There's just hasn't been enough help towards a foster care system. And I'm grateful that we survived it. And now I can talk about it.
Yeah.
But even till this day, I'm terrified to even still talk about some of this stuff, because I feel like I did something wrong. And I told my husband the other day, I'm like, I'm so tired of being scared.
Yeah.
Like, I'm so tired of like feeling like I have to walk on eggshells and not speak the truth of what happened to us and why the system needs change. Like, we were victims of this, you know, and now survivors. And this is people that DCFS trusted for us. And
for
the fact
years.
that we were there from 7 to 17 years old is mind blowing to me.
Yeah. Can you walk me through some of the things you did to heal your younger self?
I went into therapy. I found an incredible therapist. And I remember going in 2 to 3 times a week, sometimes even more. And I would just cry. Yeah. The sessions were just crying. Like, I was like, I just need to be in a calm room, and I have nothing to say today, but I just need to cry. And she just made it such a safe space. If I look back, I would not be where I'm at today if I didn't end up in therapy really early on. And also being put on an antidepressant really early on. I was so scared of addiction, because I came from my family being addicted to Xanax, all the Vicodins, PCP, like from the street drugs to the day-to-day drugs that take. And so I was always so terrified. This was the one thing that stood out for me. She said, if you have high blood pressure, you take a high blood medication to lower that. You have high cholesterol, you take medication to lower it.
Yeah.
But because you have mental health, like severe anxiety and depression and all this stuff, you don't think it's okay to take medication to heal?
Yeah.
And I remember sitting back and I'm like, she's so right. Like, I need this medication. Without that combination, there's no way
100%.
Dolce Glow and Sunnee Bay would be where it's at today. And now I'm providing a service that not only makes people feel good on the outside, but truly it makes you feel good on the inside. I say that there's nothing comparable to a spray tan in the way it makes you feel.
A spray tan from you.
Thank you. You're so sweet.
So you are a girl mom. How have you broken this generational trauma that you've been through?
I don't think I would have been as good of a mom. I'm not perfect. No one is. If I didn't get the therapy for 12 years, get on the right medication that I needed to stabilize, you know, the imbalance and just the anxiety. Yeah. And I highly suggest anyone that has been in a similar situation to mine, like, get that help before you become a parent. And so now, you know, for me to be able to give Mia the life that I didn't have or my husband didn't have is the most beautiful thing. And she's such a beautiful girl, and never would I have thought I would have the business, the life. Dolce Glow, Sunnee Bay is growing into these just worldwide brands at this point. It's just so insane. And I never would have thought that I'd be, again, here today, you know?
It's amazing. I do want to give you some time to tell us a little bit about, you know, the brand itself. I feel like we've talked a lot about Sunnee Bay and Dolce Glow. Can you just kind of talk to me about Dolce Glow and Sunnee Bay and what the difference between the two is?
Yeah, so Dolce Glow is my first baby. It's really was bringing back luxury to sunless tanning, right? Really, Dolce Glow has all your anti-aging ingredients to your high-end formulas, and it really is like skincare with tanning. But that is, again, it's a luxury brand. But early on in my career, I always promised myself that if I could go back and get back to that girl that was in my shoes at 17 years old and create a second brand that would be available to that girl that's in my shoes that maybe couldn't afford a $40, $50 self-tanner like me, that I would take that opportunity and start a second brand. And so what we did with Sunnee Bay Skin was really giving back to my younger self and other women that are in my shoes that want good stuff, but maybe are in that place that I was that can't afford a luxury product. Sunnee Bay is your girl.
Okay, so what is your biggest tip for people out there who are using self-tanner?
So I think obviously how you take care of your skin is going to really depend on how good your spray tan or self-tanner is going to look, right? Yeah. So if you know you have a big event on a Friday or a Saturday, I would start exfoliating, dry brushing, and moisturizing, and also drinking a lot of water a week to 2 weeks in advance. Okay. The best spray tans come from the best skin. So going back to just exfoliating, dry brushing, drinking a lot of water. So when it's time to spray tan, that spray tan just absorbs really nicely, because the more hydrated your skin is going into the spray tan or self tan, the nicer it's going to be. Shaving the day before, not the day of. That's actually the number one cause for streaks, is shaving right before spray tan.
That's so interesting. I actually didn't know that.
Yeah, or also taking a shower right before spray tan. If you do want to do a rinse, we recommend with cold water, because that'll help close the pores. Right. And actually not using soap. That can actually prevent streaks as well, because if there was soap used right before your spray tan, that can leave soap residue on the body.
Right.
And then third thing is making sure that first rinse after your spray tan is a good rinse, so you don't have any watermarks from, the bronzer that's coming off. Right. And I think the biggest mistake people do too is like they'll put like the self-tanning mousse like on their face, the self-tanning mousse on their like feet, and it gets so dark and so dry in their wrist. So like we have sprays that I recommend using on your hands so they're never blotchy, using them on your feet so they're never blotchy, because those are the number one areas that people mess up on, are the hands, the wrists, and the feet. And so rather than using like a straight mousse on those areas, I recommend using a light spray, because those areas generally are going to get a lot darker because they are drier. And if you do have dry areas, you can use a little barrier cream before at home. But I think using sprays on hands and feet, using a light spray on your face can also help prevent a lot of problems. So I think there's so many progressions. And I think, again, Dolce Glow and Sunnee Bay were one of the few brands that really brought back how to simplify self-tanning.
For sure. I feel like you guys simplify it, but also make products that help people with the hard parts, like sprays to help with the spots that do get more blotchy. Other brands just give you the mousse and hope for the best. Wow. Well, thank you so much. This has been such a treat for me. Truly, if we've learned anything today, it's that there's so much more to your spray tans than just a spray tan. And there's so much more to your brand than just what people get off of physically using it.
Things always fall into place. They always will. And sometimes you just have to trust that. My spray tanning business was just supposed to be a side business. In my first year, I made over $100,000 spray tanning.
That's unbelievable.
With my daughter's in the back seat sharing one car with my husband. And so if you're thinking about starting something and people might think you're crazy, your gut's telling you to do it, like you have to do it, because life just has this way of figuring things out for you. And we're all trying to figure it out. And you're constantly pivoting. You're constantly navigating. No one really has the answers.
No, I don't think we're ever going to get them.
And so I think that's a beautiful thing, is just learning to trust, and whatever your spiritual, your higher power is, or whatever, even if it's something within, just like listening to that gut, it'll never lie to you. And, when you feel like giving up are the times you have to push the most, because boy, I've had several of those in my career. So just believe in yourself and, Doesn't matter your past, doesn't matter your circumstances. It truly doesn't have to define you.
Absolutely.
And I think I'm an example of that, to make something out of nothing. And I think we always say I'm built from a different cloth. You know, when you come from nothing, you just appreciate things at a whole different level, but you also work, in my opinion, 10 times harder to make sure you don't fail. But also so that those dreams come true. So I just want to thank you for having me on. And it was just, I'm so excited for you. And I think you've done an incredible job with what you built also.
That means so much to me. Thank you so much. I love you. You're the best. And to great. Everyone listening, we will see you next week with another exciting episode of Trying to Figure It Out.
Yay.
This episode of Trying to Figure It Out is brought to you by the Hacienda Village Meat and Italian Deli. You guys, I love my meats, okay? I am an Italian to my core. I grew up in New York with a Long Island Italian family. There is nothing I know more about than a good Italian deli. And since living in LA, I have not found one of those until I found the Hacienda Village Meat and Italian Deli. You guys, not only do they have the best owners and the nicest staff, but the meats are insane. I know my sausages. I know my salamis. I know a good sandwich when I see one. And let me tell you guys, the quality is 10 out of 10. It is so good. I couldn't recommend it more. So if you live in the Southern California area or you're coming to Los Angeles anytime soon, please, please, please make your way over to the Hacienda Village Meat and Italian Deli. I promise you won't regret it.